Hello, everyone. Thanks for getting online with me today. So, I've been pretty much sick since I saw you last. I will be in class this coming Wednesday. I think my sickness is wrapping up. So, moving on. Really quickly, I want to go over this one more time for a few of you, just in case you weren't real sure exactly how this worked. So I'm going to do this little row right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab my calculator and have that handy. That's always a good thing to have. Okay, so mental percentages. A lot of times I like to think of these as, when you're shopping or needing to do some quick math for banking. But basically, I tend, well, most of this is pretty accurate, but there are some of these on here where I actually kind of go back to that 10% rule. So if you want to find 10% of a number, you can divide by 10, okay? Or you can multiply by 0.10, okay? That would be the same thing. So 0.10, you're going to have to multiply by that, or you can divide by 10. That will give you this. So you literally could just go down this column here and divide all of these numbers by 10 and get your 10%. Okay, so 20%, well, you can divide this number by 5. That's what it says here. You could do 10% times 2. You already know the 10% number. Well, if you just double it, that's going to give you your 20%. So then that would be $6.80. Okay. So if this is 10% and I double it, multiplying by 2, then I get $6.80. That's pretty much what is going on right here and right here. So if I take my 10% number of $3.40 and multiply by 3, that's what this is saying, then I'm going to get $10.20. So this percent sign should really be like right here. Okay, so 3 times 10%, 7 times 10%. It just got kind of moved down. So 70% is the same way. I can take my 340 and multiply by 7, and I will get 2380. Okay. Well, then in the same fashion, if I want 5%, I can take the 10% number and I can divide it by 2, or I can just multiply by 1/2. Okay, so 340, if I cut that in half, I'm going to get $1.70. Okay, so I've got 10% and I have 5%. That makes 15%, right? So now I can literally just add the 340 and the 170. So 340 plus 170, I'm going to get 510. Okay, and that's what is right here. For 35%, I know the 5%. Okay, I know that number. And then 30%, I know that number over here. So I'm just going to add those together. I'm going to have 1020. So let me type that in because my brain is still a little foggy. 1020, and I'm going to add 510 to it. I should get 1530. Yep, I do. I get 1530. Okay. With 85%, still has that 5% on there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to find 80%. And to do that, I'm going to do 10% times 8. And then I'm going to add the 3%. I mean the 5%. So 340 times 8, that is 2720. The 5% is 170. So if I add that together, then I get $28.90. Okay. As far as 25%, I like to think of 4 quarters, you know, like 4 quarters in your pocket, right? 50% is like 2 quarters. 75% is 3 quarters. Okay, so you can also multiply by 0.25. Here for 50%, you could divide by 2, or you could multiply by 0.5. And for 75%, I would multiply by, multiply your money by 3 quarters, or by 0.75. Actually, I probably should have wrote 0.75. There we go. Okay, and then we'll get to those. So if I take $34 and I divide by 4, I'm going to get $8.50. If I take $34 and I multiply by 0.25, I still get $8.50. So either one of these will work. $34 divided by 2 is $17. And $34 times 0.75 is $25.50. Okay. And then 33 1/3. Okay, now dividing by 3 is not the same as taking 30%. So 34 divided by 3, it's going to give me $11.33. And then right here, if you just multiply by 2, okay, so if you multiply this by 2, you're going to get your 66 2/3. So I'm going to take my previous answer and I'll get 22.66. Or I guess if you're doing money, you'd round it up to 67. Okay, so that is mental percentages. And once you get this entire page filled out, make sure that you have turned it into me in class. So, all right, I'm going to pause this video and start a new video for Monday's lesson.